Well, well, well. What an honor this is.
Stephen, good morning.
Hanging out with three strong local chamber leaders in a booming area, well, a high growth states like Texas. It's awesome. I can't wait to pick your brains. So let's start with the obvious question.
Okay.
What's the secret sauce? Like, why is this area growing so much, and what can we learn from what you have here? I'll start with you, Beth. What's going on in Irving, Las Colinas that we can learn from?
You know, we are taking care of business in Irving, Las Colinas, and we're very fortunate to be in a very vibrant state, central location, safe communities that really allow companies to have a local address with global access.
So what kind of growth are you seeing?
So we're seeing an influx of corporate headquarters, industries from fintech coming into our community, biomedical space, pharma, that's choosing to come home to Irving, Las Colinas.
And do you see your small businesses have a ripple effect impact from some of that?
When large corporations come into our community, we see that our small businesses are very excited to be able to work alongside corporate America.
It's kind of the unspoken story of that whole thing, that whole development. So how does that compare to Longview? What's going on out there?
When you were talking about your natural assets, I get to live in a part of the state where we have rolling hills, tall trees, lots of water, power's no issue, interstate, rail,
Sounds
air.
like heaven.
It is heaven. And so when you say come home, I'm thinking, oh, you came to Longview. So
There's always a competitive rivalry in the region. I love
Even
that.
in Texas.
Yeah, absolutely. That's free enterprise at its essence.
That's healthy. But seriously, the growth that we are seeing is one of our companies just is making a $1 billion a B investment in our community with a new plant. Almost all of our manufacturing facilities are expanding. Another one's going to grow by another 200 to 300 jobs. They just grew by 300 jobs. They're going to be well over 1,000 jobs. We have a Japanese company, and they're home companies. They're local. It doesn't matter where they're based are. They're a local company. But what's been fun to watch is how that has spawned entrepreneurialism in our marketplace. I have not seen in the nearly 40 years in this industry that type of mindset. It's like there's an infinite mindset that they can go out and literally pick their dreams and start their businesses, whether it's in their homes and they incubate it until they can grow out to a storefront. But we're just seeing a large growth of small businesses come back into our market.
That's exciting. Does that compare pretty much to what you're seeing in Arlington?
It absolutely does. So in Arlington, we say we're a can-do city, but the reality is Texas is a can-do state. Yeah. Business can succeed. They move quickly. They move at the speed of business. So all those things are basic things that help us prosper. And in Arlington, we've got entrepreneurship growing. We've got headquarters moving in. And we just have overall economic growth that's impacting across the board, no matter the size of the business.
I want to flip the script a little bit. What's some of the concerns you have? Obviously there's a lot of debate of different policies changing in Washington, D.C. What are some of the concerns you see on the horizon that you want to make sure that doesn't put off some of the growth you're seeing in this area?
What we need at the federal level, the most important thing I believe, are pro-growth economic and regulatory policy decisions.
We like to say we're consistently pulling up the red tape to roll out the red carpet for business industry. We know that change is inevitably going to occur, but making sure that, especially our small businesses, when regulation is a barrier to entry or growth, to make sure that there's an opportunity through your local chamber to have conversations with our legislators, with our lawmakers, to make sure they understand what are those barriers, and let's work to provide a solution.
And that's one of the things where a heavy-handed regulatory approach can really hit that entrepreneurship piece you talked about earlier, because a lot of times those new entrepreneurs don't have an army of accountants and lawyers and handlers to go through that. They have to roll up their sleeves and get it done. It can be very complex, and it can stifle that investment. It's a huge issue.
In our market, we have a lot of coil, C-O-I-L, coil companies.
Yes.
And one of them came to me recently and said, Kelly, we're producing units that's over 5 tons. But and we're a very innovative company. We're a very environmental oriented company. However, the regs that came out from the DOE, we're having to redesign everything. Well, it doesn't just impact them. We have a lot of mom and pop coil companies that support that industry.
Yes.
Do they have the ability, the resources
to pivot so quickly
to do that and meet those standards by 2029?
And the reality is no.
They don't. So what happens?
They go out
Those
of
mom and
business.
pops go out of business,
Yes.
and we don't replace those jobs at the level that we had.
Yeah.
And those businesses they're passionate about sustainability, right? So
Exactly.
it's not like they're wanting to do
Right,
the wrong thing.
right.
They're wanting to do the right thing.
Their heart's in the right
Right.
place. They just
Yes.
need a good partner to help them get there.
Help them
That's
get
right,
there.
yeah.
If you want to build America, you have to have a supply chain to be able to do that.
And I think one other piece is a lot of times in DC, they'll separate big business and small business. And we were talking earlier, and one of the things that really stood out to me was every small business really benefits from having larger employers nearby, from a service, from a supply chain, from a partnership. That ripple effect of impact is so critical to communities across the country. So.
Working with our large businesses day in, day out, they want to shop local, they want to shop small. And then our small businesses where they are today, if they're a key component of the company's supply chain, they want to find opportunities to scale their business. And so now we're seeing some of our local small business transition into middle market.
Right, which is the American dream in many
Yes.
ways. Let's talk about investment for a second. Obviously, Texas is a low tax state. How important is that to some of the growth you've seen here? And what concerns are you looking at from the federal level? Obviously, it's a big debate on tax this year. What are you hoping to see come out of that?
Well, to me, I think, the state being a low tax state is one of the big drivers of our economic growth. The fact that we don't have an income tax is a huge, huge driver. So I look at, the potential of the growth that I see out in the future. And one of the ways to stop that growth is to begin to overtax companies.
Yeah.
In terms of that tax, we're hearing some of our large capital projects that are in the pipeline to deploy in our local community could be on hold due to the tariff conversation. So again, just making sure as these large scale projects are securing their pricing, we want to just make sure that regulatory environment is consistent so that business industry continue to privately invest capital into local communities throughout the United States.
So I bet this is true in your world too. Mexico and Canada are our strongest trading partners in Longview.
Yes.
But we're also going into Germany. We have German-based companies, we have Japanese-based companies, and what that regulatory environment looks like depends on how much R&D starts taking place in our community. It's an investment, and that is a concern for
Right.
us.
And we want, as you have in Longview, and we do as well, you want that foreign direct investment.
Yes.
Right? And to do that, the U.S. has to be competitive. We can't have a tax rate that chases away, because when a German company invests in Longview, that's jobs, that's revenue, that
Right.
helps us grow and our economy grow. So it's not just about domestically, it's also making sure that we're attractive around the world.
Well, I want to thank y'all for not just joining me for a cup of coffee this morning, but also for what you do day in, day out to represent your members, to be that voice that's so critical. And look, we all have a lot of good work to do over the next year or so to make sure we tell those stories. And so this probably won't be the last cup of coffee we're having over the next couple of months. But I know you'll be there anytime we call. I also want to thank Visit Frisco, because they helped a lot setting up this conversation and been a great partner on this front. So let's go get some more coffee.
Let's have some
All right.
coffee. Yay.
Thank you.